Hello everyone, welcome back to our second episode of our Spartan Ops coverage for Halo 4. Last time we talked about the first episode, which was called Departure, and this time we are back with HaloFanForLife to talk about the second episode, Artifact.
How you doing?
Doing great. So, we are steamrolling right through these here, and we are going to be talking about the next episode. So we finally got the groundwork laid out on our first episode, kind of an introduction to what Spartan Ops is, kind of seeing where the firefight inspiration is for some of these things, and just overall how the storyline ties in with the rest of the campaign. So it is going to be really interesting to see from here on out how the story evolves, because I think after the first episode, they're really going to start focusing on the main story of what Spartan Ops is actually supposed to be for. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know what happens in these first 5 episodes, and the story definitely gets more interesting as it goes along. And this one here brings in something that ends up making a major impact, along the way.
Yeah, big story plots start to really develop in this episode. So we ended off the last episode seeing that Fire Team Crimson, which is you guys that are playing, or everyone that's playing Spartan Ops, was able to recover the Forerunner artifact and get it ready for extraction. We go to the CGI cutscene now, and we see Fireteam Majestic being under fire by some Promethean crawlers and watchers, and they catch a break for a second, and then they immediately get jumped by Promethean knights. And then Hoya decides to go be heroic and takes his shotgun, tries to go take out a few knights, and decides to kind of get himself in some trouble.
He was very much like Emil from Reach in that scene.
Yes, very, very much so. Wouldn't be surprised if those two were related. Yeah. So after he kind of charges out, the rest of Team Majestic is like trying to hold him back and say, "No, don't go out there." And then we get an immediate cut to the Pelican evacing from Requiem back to Infinity. And when they get there, Commander Palmer's like, "What happened to Hoya?" And then DeMarco's like, "Hoya happened to Hoya." So, not too happy with what happened down on Requiem, but she orders them to go to the armor bay and get out of their armor. But Gabe is standing to the side, kind of unfazed of what happened, and then Spartan Palmer kind of walks over to him, and he asks her what the strange artifact was that got brought back, that your team brought back. So she kind of goes into a vague understanding of what she thinks it is, some Forerunner artifact that the Covenant were trying to dig up, and you have no idea what it is. But during that whole little ordeal, there's some scientists that are kind of just hovering around it, and they start poking and prodding at it, and then it suddenly just decides to activate. And this big kind of electrical
energy blast.
Something or other.
Energy wave or something.
Wave, yeah, I think wave is appropriate. It starts to spread all across the ship, and you see everyone kind of jumping in shock in the airlock, and then you see a shot of Captain Lasky as it's going over the command deck, and then it's spreading throughout the rest of the ship. And everything is starting to lose power. All the systems are starting to go offline. Roland's trying to figure out what's going out. And then Lasky radios to Dr. Glassman, who will play an integral part in Spartan Ops throughout this season, saying that all the ship's losing power. And he says he knows and is trying to get everything to work. And the ship starts to fall towards Requiem into the gravity well. And then Spartan Palmer decides to take matters into her own hand and just decides to give it a firm kick.
Yeah.
And then I guess one thing I should have mentioned is that all the gravity generators went offline. So Spartan Palmer's has her magnetic boots turned on. So she kicks it, and then all the gravity generators come back on, and all the power comes back on. So everyone's like falling to the deck, and all the cargo containers that were floating falls to the deck. And you see the engines turn on, and then they are able to navigate out of the gravity well.
Now, what's kind of cool, going back just a little bit in that, if you listen to Roland when Lasky's talking to Roland, Roland is talking about how the ship is losing power, but there's a quick little stutter in there where it's as if Roland himself is losing power. So that was kind of cool if you pick up on that. And then moving towards Glassman, Glassman mentions how, you put Forerunner technology in the ship that was essentially put in by a war criminal who we later come to find out is Catherine Halsey. And he's like, basically what do you expect's going to happen, So that was kind of interesting to see all that kind of take part. And then as future episodes happen, we'll see how more of that comes into play.
I was going to save the Catherine Halsey bit, but okay. I was going to save it for the next episode when she gets brought on board. But yeah, so and that whole Forerunner thing is going to allude to something later along the season as well. In one of these upcoming episodes that have actually already come out. If you've played it already, you know what we're talking about. If not, then you're definitely in for a treat. So everything is hunky-dory for now, and then Glassman comes down to take a look at the artifact, and he walks around it for a little bit, touches the energy barrier that's kind of protecting it. Then after a while, kind of puts his hand on there, and you start to see the same kind of wave pattern that was spread all over the ship when the device activated. And then you see Glassman pretty much pulled into this artifact, being essentially dissolved or disintegrated. Mm-hmm. And Captain Lasky tries to rescue him by holding him out, but Palmer does kind of the smart thing and pushes him out of the way so he doesn't get caught in the thing. And then you see Dr. Glassman be kind of sucked into this thing. Yeah. We're not sure if he's dead or he's composed or what's happened to him at this point.
Now, don't you think that probably hurt Lasky? Not that Glassman got taken away, but getting tackled by Palmer, who's wearing her armor, that probably hurt a little bit,
Well, I would have to think with how much control they have over their armor, and I mean with the training that they have, that they've probably figured out a way to not cause too much bodily harm to people if they're interacting with civilians or other military personnel.
Well, I hope so.
So I don't think that's too much of a problem.
Still, I don't think I'd want to get tackled by one even in that case.
Probably not, no. So that leads us into our first chapter for episode 2. And this one is titled Cleanup. And for this one, the Marine forces have failed to neutralize a Covenant stronghold and are requesting Spartan assistance. The map is on the gate, and your objective is to clear the area of enemy forces.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, pretty straightforward indeed. I would say probably one of the most straightforward objectives you can get. So for what you're going to be doing in this one is there's some Promethean anti-air that has been set up by the Prometheans and the Covenant, and what you're going to be doing is going in and neutralizing those anti-air guns. So as Fireteam Crimson, you are going to be kind of dropped off a little far away from this structure or tower, so you will, where these anti-air are pretty much being mounted. Of course, these anti-air guns are causing problems for all the air traffic the UNSC has on Requiem. So one of the reasons to take these out is so the UNSC can resume its normal day-to-day operations on Requiem, whatever day-to-day operations means for them for this kind of situation. So after you eliminate the first round...
Can we back up just 1 second?
Yes.
Just a recommendation here. Because of what's on the map, I highly recommend a long-range weapon, be that a DMR, BR, carbine. Bear in mind that the weapons caches here are pretty much Covenant and Prometheans, so you're not going to get much in the way of a resupply for your UNSC weapons. If you want to take them at first, that's fine, but just realize you're probably going to have to switch those out sometime during the mission. However, if you start with a Covenant weapon like a carbine, for instance, then when you go to walk up to one of those weapons caches, it's going to automatically drop into your weapons, so you don't have to worry about picking up another weapon and then reloading. This way, you just pretty much have to reload. So that's what I recommend. I usually go in with a carbine and a BR.
Okay. I usually just do my standard loadout of what I do in war games, and then once I get up to the tower, I swap out. Because by the time you're up there, if you die and respawn, there's going to be plenty of needlers and carbines just sitting on the ground for you to pick up.
Absolutely.
So, but like he said, definitely the weapons on this map are very Covenant heavy, with the weapon crates on the second tier of the tower being exclusively Covenant, and then all the Prometheans that you fight on this map as well. So the first set of enemies that you have to fight off as you're making your way up the tower is, of course, Covenant of all varieties, elites, grunts, and jackals. And once you get to the top and clear out all the Covenant there, you're going to get 2 waypoints from Infinity of where pretty much the control towers are for the anti-air guns. If you're playing co-op, it's best to split up and have one person get one tower and one person get the other. If you have 3 or more people, leave that third and fourth person up top so they can cover you when the Watchers come down and start to spawn crawlers and the turrets. So one of the big things on this map is that you will have 4 different Promethean turrets be spawning. And it's best if you can take out the Watchers that spawn them, take them out quickly so you don't have to worry about those turrets at all.
Which is definitely possible.
Yes, it is. Granted, most of the time you won't get every single Watcher that spawns a turret, but if you can get most of them out, it will make your mission go a lot quicker and smoother. So after you deactivate the conduits, just make sure you watch out for all the Promethean Watchers and the crawlers and turrets that they spawn. You'll take out both towers, and the slip space portal will be activated near the top. That will start to pour out the Prometheans there, and after a while, you will have some weaponry dropped out where you initially spawned. You get, I believe, 2 rocket launchers, a railgun, and a saw. That's right. So those are ordnance drops that you get, and that's the point where knights will start to spawn in. And they will spawn in as you try to go run for those power weapons. So it's important to make sure that you get there safely so you can get those power weapons, but get there quickly. There is a little time that you can spare when you see a knight spawning in, that you can grab a weapon and then pretty much start shooting at it before they have a chance to start shooting you. There's about a 3-second window there that you have grace for as they're kind of spawning in that you can use.
And I highly recommend that you wipe out any of those Watchers so that they're not respawning, their buddies there. You don't want them to respawn the knights that you just killed, because that's just going to make the mission harder.
Right. And that pretty much goes for every mission. Any mission that has Watchers and knights on it, take out the Watchers first.
And if anything, if you're playing 2 people, just take out however, you can. But if you're playing at least 4 people, then I would say, assign 2 people to Watchers, and then the other 2 people can clean up the rest. If you're going into matchmaking, you're playing with randoms, then it probably behooves you upon yourself to take out the Watchers first.
Uh-huh. So just task appropriately if you're doing co-op. So at the end of this chapter, you get a radio in that you're going to be evac'd, but instead of that, I believe it's Dalton actually radios in and says that they have a distress signal that was reported in. So you're going to be going on the rescue mission now instead of going home.
Darn it.
Yeah, well, that's kind of your job now since you're pretty much the number 1 Spartan team. You're Palmer's pets at this point.
Nice.
So, like the last episode, I believe you have some stats for us for this episode in terms of enemies.
Yeah, as always. This one is good for storm grunts and watchers, and then from there it gets a little light, maybe crawlers, but certainly if you want to get some watcher kills, this is good for about 25 or so. The same with the storm grunts. Beyond that, it's just a general mix of everything else. So, that's about the only thing to really look for in this one. But there are other missions that have more watchers in them. So this one's just kind of a general one to go through. As far as replaying it, that's up to you. I would say replay it on Legendary for more of a challenge. But if you're looking for commendations, this is probably one that you could bypass.
Yeah. I'll say this. Episode 5 is probably one of the best episodes to look for getting a lot of your enemy commendations, because
yes,
it seems like what they've done is pretty much slowly ramped up the difficulty for each episode, and you get
in the amount of enemies. Yes,
yeah. So there's a lot of enemies in the chapters in episode 5 that you can get a lot more kills off of. So if you're looking to get those commendations, like if you play through Spartan Ops and now you're looking for a little bit more challenge, do those episodes and you will go through your commendations really quickly. And plus, it gets you ranked up faster for your Spartan rank.
Yes, yeah. And as we've said before, playing Spartan Ops in the matchmaking part of Spartan Ops is what gets you the most credits, or most XP, rather.
Correct. All right, Chapter 2. Chapter 2 is called For Science. I wonder why. An Infinity Science team issued a distress call, then went silent. There's been no contact since. This is on the map The Cauldron, and your objective, discover status of missing science team. Seems like they're missing a few words in there, but okay. So for this one, you're answering the distress call that you got from the last chapter, and you're going to be figuring out what happened to the science team after they went dark. You're back on station where the Forerunner artifact originally got found, the one that's currently wreaking havoc on Infinity. So after you land at the site, you're going to go out and take some Covenant comm equipment, and which is pretty easy. You can take out most of that stuff with just a single grenade. Most of the time you'll be able to get about, I think about halfway to the place where the radio towers are before you start seeing your first set of enemies, and it's like just a couple grunts and elites, and then once you actually get to the comm equipment, then you'll see a whole slew of elites, grunts, and jackals. So it's pretty much easy pickings until you get up to that point. And if you're playing with multiple people, like 2 more, you can just each chunk a grenade at one of the towers and take it out really quickly. So your first objective there is really easy to do, really easy to push through as well. After you take out those comm arrays, you will be looking for you will actually be informed from Infinity that they found a camp of where the science team was last known to be located. And once you get there, there's going to be an IF tag that you can pick up and listen into some audio logs that was recorded with the IFF tag to try to find out what's happened to this science team.
By the way, we should state what IFF means.
Oh, yes.
For those that don't know. Identify friend or foe.
Yes. Or it's also known as FOF tag. Friend or foe tag.
Right.
So, yeah, I guess I should have caught that, but thank you.
Right, that's all right. Figured I'd just mention it, throw it in there.
Yeah, thanks for catching that for me. Another thing I kind of glanced over that I should probably have went a little slower on is once you get to the comm arrays, you'll have drop pods pretty much come in and drop enemies on you at the comm tower position and then the next position after you pick up the IFF tag. So make sure you keep your eyes on the skies as the Covenant drop in more troops to prevent your movement throughout the rest of the mission. Once you get to the IFF tag, though, there's some weapon crates that you really want to pay attention to. There's a rocket launcher.
Oh, yeah. No, I was go on. I was saying some good ones.
Okay, yeah. So there's some good stuff there. There's a rocket launcher and sniper rifle that are very useful, especially for this upcoming part, because there are going to be a lot of Covenant in this next little section that you're going to come up on. So after you start entering the cave system where your next objective is, you'll see an elite on the turret and then another elite off to the side. Take them out pretty quickly. They're not too much of a pain. One of them has a fuel rod and then the other one's on a turret. So just keep your distance and take them out with some focused DMR, carbine fire, or with the sniper rifle that you just picked up. But it's probably better if you save the sniper rifle for the next part. Once you take out those two elites, deactivate the shield door that's in front of you and prepare firefight mode.
Yes.
There are about... It's somewhere between 3 and 5 different waves of Covenant dropships that come in and deploy troops that you have to fight through. And once you shoot off all of the Covenant there, you'll hear from Spartan Palmer to proceed with your pursuit of trying to get the scientists out. And once you get past all of the people there, it's pretty much straightforward from there on out. You're going to go through the rest of the lava flows, pretty much in reverse of what you did in Chapter 5 of Episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
And that pretty much wraps up the mission. At that point, you make your way up to the back kind of Forerunner room area, and you take out the shield, and you've rescued the science team. So that one is pretty quickly to do if you have a lot of people playing with you, and the only real choke point is those wave of enemies at that first part, or the last part right before you get to the scientists.
And even then, that's still not too terribly difficult.
No, it's just sheer numbers, really.
Yeah.
And one rocket launcher and one sniper really isn't enough, I think, to handle that in terms of like firepower, but you'll have enough ammo and other weapons, DMR or whatever other primary weapons you carry, that you'll be able to take out just about everybody without dying. And if not, there's going to be plenty of weapons on the ground that you can pick up.
Yep.
So give us the stats for Chapter 2.
Okay, Chapter 2. There are. This is certainly a decent one for grunts. I have it counted about 20 each for storm grunts and imperial grunts. So certainly, this might be one to consider for that specific commendation for that type of grunt. The one thing that I don't get, and this is something we need to try and track down maybe with BS Angel, is the nomenclature between what you see for commendations versus what you see on your record is not the same. So, it doesn't say a commendation for storm grunts. It will say a commendation for imperial grunts, but where does storm grunts lie in that? Which one is it? Is it a regular grunt? Is it does it count towards the imperial ones or what? That I'm not sure, but suffice it to say, though, that it has plenty of grunts on it, so this is one you might want to consider replaying. Again, though, later on, later missions, later episodes will still give you more than this.
Very interesting. I believe you will probably follow up to that one.
Yep, I will definitely.
Okay, so our next chapter is Hacksaw. For this one, Marine Squad Hacksaw is pinned down and requests Spartan assistance. This is on the map Fortress, and your objective, of course, is to rescue the Marines. So the overview of this one is, pretty straightforward of what we had in the description. The Marines are radioing for help, and it's pretty funny what they say because they're just like, we could really use some backup right now. Just some firepower, or heck, even some reinforcements would be nice. Anyone out there? Hello?
Yeah.
We're getting our asses kicked. So, of course, you're there. The cavalry has arrived, and first thing you want to do is pick up the rocket launcher that's staring you straight in the face. There is a weapon cache right in front of you with, I believe, a couple of assault rifles and some other weapon, and then the rocket launcher. And you'll want that to take out some of the elites that you will be facing when you go to rescue the Marines. And there are other weapon caches that you'll be able to pick up weapons as well. The 3 groups of Marines are at each of the small towers. So if you remember the level, what was it? It wasn't Requiem, it was the one afterwards.
Oh gosh, I can't remember.
Forerunner?
Forerunner, maybe? Yeah, it could be. I can't recall.
Yeah, I think it's Forerunner. Then it's those 3 towers that would be leading up to the tower that we take down the shield. And it's the same one. I guess I should just put it this way. It's the same one from chapter 3 of the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that one. There you go. That should be a little bit easier explanation for you guys. Sorry about that. So the 3 groups of Marines are in the 3 smaller towers, and then in each one of them, after you rescue them, is a weapons cache with a saw, and I don't believe they have rocket launchers.
No, actually, I think they do.
Do they? Okay.
I'm pretty sure they do. Maybe not all of them, but I'm almost positive at least.
Each one has the same set.
Does it? Well, okay, then I guess it does.
I want to say I think it's just saws because there's rocket launcher and Spartan lasers up top.
We might have to play through this again.
Yeah. And I don't have it in my notes that there are rocket launchers in the towers.
I'm looking at my stats here, and it says that I had 13 rocket launcher kills, so...
Well, that could be in this whole second wave, too.
Yeah.
So, anyway, regardless of the weapon, there are some power weapons in there that you will want to pick up. Let's just put it that way. So definitely look at picking up the saws, and if there's rocket launchers in there, definitely pick those up as well. After you rescue all the groups of Marines, then there's going to be onslaughts of Covenant, and I know we've said firefight experience before for some of the past chapters. This one's truly firefight because you have waves after waves after waves after waves of Covenant. I want to say there's maybe 6 different drop ships, maybe 8.
Yeah, I haven't.
Or Phantoms.
Count them. One thing for sure, since you have the large tower in the center there, it's always a good idea to get up on that tower and shoot from high, on high, and you'll have the upper ground there, and it's a lot easier to take them out. And the Marines, believe it or not, will help you to a point. So as long as you're staying up high and shooting and keeping the Covenant
to a point
busy, then the Marines might come in and help you out a little bit.
Right.
Count on it, but they might.
They just might decide to help you. So there are Spartan lasers and rocket launchers as on the top of the tower that HaloFanForLife was mentioning, and you can use those to take out the Phantoms that come in. And it doesn't take too much firepower. It does take quite a bit from rocket launchers and Spartan lasers. I believe it takes at least 4 lasers.
Yeah, you're going to drain a laser probably.
Just on one Phantom, yeah.
Phantom. But there's several lasers up there, at least 2 or 3, so you won't have a problem.
Well, and they will actually respawn after a time.
Mm-hmm.
Any Spartan laser or rocket launcher that you use, after a certain amount of time, they will respawn. So, in theory, you have an infinite supply of Spartan lasers and rocket launchers at your disposal.
Hey, here's something, too, that I actually tried this yesterday, and it worked. Before you go up to the tower by yourself, when they tell you to go up there, you want to maybe walk around the Marines a little bit and get them to follow you. It might take an extra minute or 2, but whatever Marines you have left will actually come up to the tower with you. And the good reason to do that is whenever you get up there then and all these other enemies start coming in from the Covenant, well, the Marines are already going to be up there with you, and they'll actually draw their fire away from you so that you can take out the Covenant without much of a worry of dying.
You know what you can also do? Is give them Spartan lasers and rocket launchers.
True enough.
So make sure, if you do get the Marines up there, trade out their weapons for Spartan lasers and rockets. Believe it or not, when they have those power weapons, they can be very effective.
Absolutely.
And also a thing to note is that some of the Pelicans will come and drop wraiths. You can take them out while they're being carried under the Pelicans. So make sure if you have a Spartan laser to get a shot on the wraith so it doesn't wreak havoc on you later when it decides to try to drop it.
Yep,
and at the final wave, you'll have 2 Phantoms come in. I believe it's just the last 2, and then you have to destroy those Phantoms. You have to take your Spartan lasers or rocket launchers, whichever one you prefer, and take them out. They do have health meters on it, and one thing that, well, I'll let you explain it since you were the one that kind of discovered it.
About
the preemptive shooting.
Yeah. If you Those ones, if you shoot them previous to that, in other times when they come and they drop off enemies before that, if you shoot them, you can actually, when it comes to this last part, some of their health will already be decreased from the phantoms themselves. So you actually will have a much easier time taking them out. So be sure to get in a shot on those phantoms, whenever you can. It doesn't have to be right at the end where you're racing to try and kill them. Get them, a little beforehand, get a couple shots in, and it'll just make it that much easier.
I think you can even, if you do it right, you can take them out before they leave and they won't even come back.
I can't recall that. Maybe. We'll have to explore that again.
Yeah, don't quote me on that, but I think I saw that in a video I watched. Not exactly sure, but I think that's the case. Also, in this chapter, there is an achievement. Yay, we love our achievements. This achievement is called No One Left Behind for 20 gamer score. And what you have to do is save at least one Marine.
Just one.
On heroic difficulty or harder. Just one. Really, really easy to do if you are playing with friends. Really easy to do. It's almost like you don't even have to think about it.
In fact, I don't think I did whenever I played it. It really is that easy, though.
Yeah, it's really, really easy. It's nothing. It's really, really nothing. Just
except
saying.
My gamer score.
Yeah, except for the gamer score. All right. So what are the stats for this chapter?
Well, you know what? This one you could almost just toss away and not even worry about it, because there are a varied amount of enemies, and there's nothing that super stands out. A little bit of grunts, a little bit of elites, but it's nothing that is going to really pump any of your commendations up. So this is the one that, if you're looking for pure firefight, that's the replayability of it. If you haven't got that achievement yet, then certainly you want to do this one for the achievement. But as far as commendations go, I wouldn't worry about this one too much.
All right, fair enough. Moving on to Chapter 4 for Episode 2. We're going to be taking a look at... Where is it? There it is. Pelican Down. This is Fireteam Crimson has been shot down. Well, that sucks.
Yep.
You're playing on the map Sniper Alley, and your objective? Situation developing. We're not exactly sure. Let's find out. So apparently, after your hacksaw mission, after you rescued some Marines, your Pelican, out of all the Pelicans that were escorting the Marines home, got shot down by some local anti-air. So you're pretty much stuck until you can take out the anti-air guns. So what you're going to be doing is, after you make your way up the Sniper Alley and up the Tower of Bridges, as I like to call it. I'm not exactly sure what you would call that other than the Sniper Alley. You're going to take out the anti-air turrets, and then you're going to be able to make your way back home. But to get there, you have to fight through a multitude of a certain enemy that is a nightmare to fight. I'll put it that way. Once you get into the first area, you spawn off down in the gully, where you destroyed the power core from the last episode, and you have to make your way up, and then the first cove you have a couple of sniper jackals and some other covenant that are just sitting around, and you have to take those out. And then you go through the hairpin of rocks, and then once you get to the part where you can actually see the bridges in the structure, there are a lot, and I mean a lot of jackal snipers.
Yes. You want to definitely keep behind something, take cover for sure, because this is one level that you can easily get pinged off and not even know where it came from.
Yes. And actually there's another level that's a lot worse, that comes up in the later episode. But you have, was it 4? Yeah, 4 sniper jackals that are sitting up on the structures, beyond the 2 initial pillars where the second shield door was in the last episode. And they will snipe you to kingdom come. If you are not ready for them when you turn that corner, you're as good as dead.
That's putting it mildly.
So as you're making that turn to where you can see the bridges and the structure, take your time to slowly go around, peek around the rocks, and headshot them. You do have a small window of where they, quote-unquote, don't see you, where you can take them out with a DMR or a BR. DMR is probably one of the best recommended weapons in this because it has the best scope out of all the primary weapons.
Yeah, so and in fact, before you even get to that part of the bridge there, that second hairpin, it's the last part of the gully before you get to the bridge. You can see a couple of them. So those ones that you can see, take them out. If you're playing co-op with somebody, let one person kind of be the scout, move up and let
the second person clean it up unless you got shot.
Yeah. Well, the moves up. They're the person that can kind of get the attention of the snipers, and then you'll have an easier time, picking them off.
True. Very true. Although I like my bait and switch a lot better.
Sure.
So after you zigzag your way up, make sure you watch out for the sniper jackals. Take them out, and then you'll be able to slowly make your way up the structures. Once you get up to that first kind of platform, there's going to be a lot of invisible elites. So it's probably a good idea to pick up those beam rifles and then take out the invisible elites when you see them. Granted, they're a little bit harder to aim since they're not clearly visible, and you don't exactly know if they'd be moving in one direction or another. Granted, if you're like Sal and me, who have a lot of playing experience, you can kind of take them out pretty easily. Just saying, not to brag or anything, but once you get to the bridge, actually before you cross the bridge, you will receive a weapon supply drop from Infinity, and I'm not exactly sure why they did this because it's just one sniper rifle.
Yeah.
And it's not like they could have given that to you before you were getting shot by the sniper jackals. I'm not exactly sure what they were thinking there. It's like, oh, you're getting sniped by snipers. Here, let's give you a sniper rifle, which you don't really need anymore. Just saying.
It helps though later. I would still say pick it up. Don't waste the sniper. Pick it up, and take it with you for some of the shots later on when you get past the bridge.
Yeah, but I mean there's beam rifles there that you can use just as easily.
Well, that's what I do. See, I take the sniper rifle. I use up the sniper rifle for the enemies far out, and then I grab a beam rifle. So I make sure I use the ammo at least.
Yeah. One thing to note here before I forget to say it, and this applies to all Spartan Ops missions, and I want to say campaign as well. If you want to have a weapon stay on the map without it despawning, don't go near it, and don't walk over it to where it has the prompt, because once you go over it, there's a magic little flag that comes up with the weapon item, and then once you walk past it, in about 2 seconds it'll be gone.
Yeah.
And I found that if you walk past it and you stay in the general area of the weapon but don't pick it up, and don't have the prompt kind of pop up for picking up the weapon, then it'll stay there for a little while longer, and before you go into your next area, you can go pick it up.
Yeah, that's good advice for sure. So
if you want to leave weapons on the ground before you kind of go into your next area, as you kind of proceed through quote-unquote core areas of Spartan Ops missions, and same thing applies for campaign, don't walk over the weapon or go near it. It's kind of, and I mean, but I say don't go near it, you can go within like 3 meters of it and you'll be fine. It's just as long as you're not too close to it and you're not walking over it where it gives you the prompt, then you're fine. So that's one thing I use to, like for all the sniper, the beam rifles that are down there. Pick up one, don't walk over another one, shoot it all out with the invisible elites and the grunts, go pick up another one and do the same thing over and over again until you're done with that section, and then take a fresh one into the new section you're going into.
Very good, yes.
Yep. So you're going to continue to ascend the rest of the tower, and once you fight through all the Covenant up there and take them all out, you're going to deactivate all of the anti-air batteries.
Not too hard to do. Pretty easy.
Or I guess you're disabling the power supply, and then you're going back down. So after you get up there, you pretty much go all the way back down, and then you will be able to get evac'd, and then you're going to be on your way to Science Team Gargarian, where they're having some problems as well.
Well, remember, there's don't forget the hunters there too, near the end.
Oh yeah, but you can bypass those.
Well,
Kind of. But yeah, so like he was saying, there are some hunters that are up there. There is actually, before you go up to the final tier where you have to deactivate the anti-air, there is a weapon crate to the left that has some fuel rods in it. Make sure you pick those up to take out the hunters. Depending on the difficulty, it may take anywhere from 5 to 10 fuel rod shots or banana slugs, as some of the Marines call them.
But there's two there, two full fuel rods, so you should be able to take. You'll take one of the hunters out, and the second one, if not killed, will be severely weakened, so it won't be too hard for you to do.
And I need to retract the statement I just said before this. You actually don't go back down the canyon; you stay there, and you're actually going to go into one of the tunnels to end the mission, because apparently you're close enough to Gargarian team where you don't have to get evac'd, and you can actually just walk there.
Right.
So I retract my statement from a few minutes ago, and you're not going back down the sniper alley afterwards. You're just staying up there, and
that's why you have to
mission.
take those hunters out.
Yeah. So I was actually thinking of another mission where you have to go up, and then you have to go back down. So sorry about that.
It gets confusing, but
a little bit. Well, I mean, once you play the level 4 or 5 times in different missions for the same season, it starts to blur together a little bit.
It does.
That's why I have notes, and that's why I should read them a little bit more thoroughly.
It's all right.
So give us the stats for this chapter.
Well, as you pointed out at the beginning, this one is extremely good for getting Jackal snipers and rangers. That's 25 there for those. Now, it doesn't break it down how many rangers versus how many snipers, but certainly we know from playing this level several times that if you want to get your your Jackal sniper, if I can not mix those two words together, if you want to get your Jackal sniper commendations up, this is definitely one of those levels that you want to replay. Right.
I want to say there are 7 sniper Jackals. 4 on the first. No, I'm sorry.
There's
9.
More because 9. You've got some in the gully too.
9 or 10. There's either 2 or 3 in that first section. Then there's 4 on that bridge. There's 2 on either side of where the first shield was in the first episode, and then I know there's definitely one on the right-hand side of the top layer. I'm not sure if there's one on the left-hand side of that top layer. I know there's definitely one on the right-hand side. So there are at least 10 sniper Jackals.
Yeah, so this one definitely, I've gone back to this level several times just for the point of getting snipers. Because that one, the Jackal sniper is kind of few and far between. That's probably the one that I'm lacking the most. Certainly for Covenant forces, for the Covenant commendations, that's the one that I'm lacking the most in because they're just not found as often as the other ones. So this one, replay it for those snipers.
I want to say there is one other mission that's on this level that there are significantly more. I think it's in episode 5, but I'm not exactly sure. Maybe episode 4.
How about we do a podcast on that later?
Well, we are going to do a podcast on that later. How about that? So we'll tell you then. How about that? We'll save that for later. All right, so moving on to our final chapter for this episode is going to be Gargarian. Science Team Gargarian, last seen researching location codenamed Refuge, is MIA. No distress call. The map is the Refuge, and your objective, discover Gargarian's fate. I want to say Gargarian. It's Gargarian, but I want to say Gargarian, but it's Gagarin. Yeah. A little tongue twister there for you.
If I can throw this in too, before we go into the mission, this is something I was telling you before we started this. Gagarin is actually named after Yuri Gagarin, who was the first human in space. He flew aboard the Vostok spacecraft in April of '61. So this is kind of an homage to the first human in space using the word Gagarin. So I just thought that was cool from a historical standpoint, that the folks at 343 would throw that into the game. So that's just point of trivia. Take your time and look it up sometime.
Very interesting. All right. So for this one, it's at the refuge, which is the big Forerunner area with the forest area over to the left-hand side and all that good stuff. But this time, you actually now I'm drawing a blank. You spawn. Do you spawn the same spot that you did in episode 1, right?
Yes.
Okay, the jungle one is the next episode then. Okay. So, of course, your first objective is all the way on the other side of the map.
Of course.
Again.
As always.
Again. So, you actually make your way all the way through without encountering any enemies this time. But you discover a audio log in a computer that's back where the star map from the first episode was. So you take a listen to it, and you hear some scientists talking about turning on some Forerunner technology and whether or not it's the right thing to do.
Hold on a second, though. Before you go to the first objective, you should go to the jungle area on the left. There's
No, that's afterwards.
What?
We talk about that afterwards.
Oh, I thought we talk about it now.
No, that's afterwards.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, we'll say, afterwards.
All right.
Because we want to talk about what actually goes on in the right ones before we do the other ones.
All right.
So,
Fair enough.
There's a method to my madness. And you guys will find out in about 5 minutes. So, after you listen to this first audio log of what the scientists are debating about, you hear this kind of big explosion thing in the background. And then the audio cuts off. And then you hear from Spartan Miller that it looks like there's some Forerunner tech that was left on by the science team. So you jump down, actually right down from the platform you're standing at, and you turn the 2 Forerunner towers off. But during that, guess who comes to join the party? That's right, Prometheans. So you get to fight off some Prometheans while you try to disable the Forerunner tech, and then they spawn everywhere, and you have to make your way back out to the big dome area, and you keep on fighting more Prometheans and all that good stuff.
And this can actually get fairly overwhelming too, because there's a lot of enemies here.
Even when you're playing with like 4-player co-op, especially on Legendary, it can get overwhelming. That's how many Prometheans you're facing, including knights.
Definitely.
So it's definitely a Promethean heavy mission, this one. So you're the Forerunner tech that you're deactivating on your first wave is 2 towers out on the ground floor. And then you make your way out to the main chamber. And then there's another computer that Infinity's identified that you need to go play. And it's some scientists are trying to figure out what's going on, and then there's some other screeching noises, and the other scientists are really not sure what's going on. And then after you listen to that audio log, you go and disable another piece of Forerunner tech that the scientists have managed to manage their way into activating. So you have to go, let's see, on the opposite side of where that second terminal was.
Which side, jungle side or the cement?
Actually, hang on. Sorry, you actually have to. There's another piece of Forerunner tech back in the same chamber in the back. They have to go deactivate after you activate that second terminal.
All right.
I think so. Is it on the other? Is it on the opposite side? My notes say it's back in the chamber, and I remember there's 2 different ones because you have to disable the 2 pillars first, and then there's that center console one.
Right.
Yeah. So it's the second one's also in the back. It's a different tower though. One thing to note though is even after you've played the audio bit and running your way back there, once you get to that last, or not the last one, the second Forerunner tech thing, there's going to be more enemies that instantly spawn there when you get very close. So just make sure you kind of pace yourself as you're going to each one of these Forerunner tech pieces that you have to disable.
Right.
So kind of take your time and pace yourself, and especially just with the number of enemies, pace yourself is a good idea as well. One thing to point out before we get, I guess, too much further into it, there are Promethean weapon caches scattered throughout the level. So on the left-hand side and the right-hand side of the main chamber, I think on the left-hand side there are incinerator cannons. There's a full rack of incinerator cannons and a full rack of...
That's the cement side.
Oh, so that's the right
side. There's the jungle side, then there's the cement side.
The jungle side is the left side, the cement side is the right side. Okay, so you're saying the cement side has the fuel rod?
The side has the incinerator cannons.
Okay.
And it's on the second level.
Right. So on the right-hand side then, there are incinerator cannons. On the left-hand side, there are binary rifles. And there's actually 2 crates of binary rifles. So definitely pick those up. You can actually pick them up before the first wave of Prometheans, before you even activate that first terminal as well. So probably should have mentioned that a little bit earlier, but at least now you know.
Yeah, I actually saved those for later after
for
I
the last one.
First couple of them. What's that?
For the last set? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much for the last set, because there's just so many enemies towards the end there that I don't want to waste the incinerator cannon early when I know I can take them out with other weapons.
I think those actually respawn as well, though. I think those, if I remember right, I believe after a little bit they will refill with incinerator cannons and binary rifles.
I'm gonna.
I remember playing on solo on that mission on Legendary, and I had to repeatedly go back and pick up ammunition for it, and I'm pretty sure that after a while they actually replenished weapons in those crates.
That's good. Yeah, those binary weapons, while very powerful, are also very low on ammunition. So,
yeah, it's
weapon I have, but woo.
Yeah, it's 2 shots per clip, and then you have 4 clips. No, 3 clips. Sorry. Well, you get 4 clips if you pick up ammo from another one, but the default allocation is 3 clips, but the max is 4 that you can hold.
And don't forget, though, if you have the ammo mod, you actually can get more.
That is true. Except the only one I use is, it's an armor mod. So for me, it's fast track. No. Sorry, grenadier. Firepower. Sorry, firepower. That's it. Firepower. Firepower or dexterity is my armor mod. Those are the 2 ones I mainly use.
Which are great ones. That's what I use a lot.
Yeah. Actually, sometimes I use explosives as well. Anyway. So after you disable the second Forerunner tower, you go to a 3rd terminal, and then this is where the real fun begins on this mission.
Oh yeah.
Because then you have to go to the very top and disable not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 Forerunner pillars. And they're actually not that hard to do, because if you have a couple of people, if you're playing with at least 2 people, you can have 2 people go and disable 2 towers and then just switch and do the other 2. They're really quick to disable. And I think you just hit X and then you can run. It's not an animated effect. You just can hit it and then it'll start doing its own thing.
Right.
And there'll be knights that spawn up there, but they'll kind of not shoot at you for the first 5 seconds while you're standing up there. But afterwards, after you disable all the towers, you definitely want to get the heck out of there and run for your life and start shooting back at them.
Yeah, that's a death trap area there.
Very much so. Yeah, I think so. So that is probably the most Prometheans you're going to have in one wave for the last one. And it'll be a good, if you're playing on solo, it'll be a good 5-7 minute battle. And if you're playing co-op, it'll be probably at least 2-3 minutes long before you can take them all out.
Right.
But once you do take them all out, you make your way over to the jungle area, and you'll have one last wave of Prometheans. You'll have about 5 or 6 crawlers, and then one more knight that has a scatter shot. After you take them out, you will be extracted with a pelican, and then Marines will stay on station for the remainder of, I guess, their stay. The thing that Sal was alluding to a little bit earlier was the Rooster Teeth Easter egg being on this chapter. So for episode 2, the Rooster Teeth Easter egg is on chapter 5. And to activate this Easter egg, since you were so eager to tell it, why don't you tell us where it is, Sal?
Well, you go left into the jungle area from where you spawn, and you'll see some glowing bulbous-like plants, as your notes say. When you go there...
term that was keyed by you.
Oh, was it?
I believe. Yeah. Yeah, I believe you decided to call it the bulbous glowing plants.
Okay. I can't remember. But anyways, you go there. Let's see, what is it? Where's it at exactly again? I can't recall.
So it's as you go into the jungle tunnel, which is on from where you spawn is to the left-hand side. You'll see a little kind of cove area. The first one that you see on the left, that's where the box is. And if you kind of have to go to the right-hand side of the little indentation, and then if you look into that hole, you'll see the box there.
That's right.
Yep.
And that totally changes all the other,
it changes the audio
here
logs.
The rest of the mission.
Yeah, it changes the audio logs. It doesn't change anything else other than the audio logs that you get from the terminal.
That's what I mean, yeah.
So the first computer that you'll hear is from Church and Caboose. Yeah, Church and Caboose are arguing with each other. And then they're arguing each other again with the second one, and Caboose is, like, I think he catches himself on fire.
Yes.
And then the third one is between Griff and Simmons, and then a little bit into the audio log, you hear Caboose screaming in the background. It's like, I'm on fire! I think something like that. So, again, they're pretty funny to play, and I think they put these Easter eggs on probably the more difficult levels to really just kind of give it a humorous effect and make it a little bit more enjoyable to play. Because the lines that they did for these, I mean, shout outs to Rooster Teeth. They did a really good job on these lines.
Yeah, it's definitely funny. And I highly suggest playing this level once without getting it, and certainly once again getting the Easter egg, just so you hear the different audio logs.
So, quick question for you then.
Yeah?
I didn't bring this up in the last episode because it wasn't explicitly stated that it was Caboose speaking on the radio. I mean, we know it because we know the voice actor and everything. But is Red vs. Blue canonized now?
I would have to say yeah. Because the question, now what I'm going to say here is in Spartan Ops, but it relates to what you just said, though. Somebody had posed a question then about war games, and when you hear the announcer, Jeff Steitzer, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Is he considered canon now too? Is he like an officer aboard the Infinity when War Games is happening? And don't quote me on it, but I think it was Frank O'Connor that said yes, that he would be considered canon then. So certainly,
you just blew my mind.
Yeah, if that's the case, then I would have to say, Red versus Blue, or Rooster Teeth, that it would have to be,
Because Griffball is canon now.
Absolutely. So, I would say that they would be.
All right. I think we just settled that discussion.
Yeah. Let me get a stat real quick here on this. This one, by far, if you want to get your crawlers, this is where you do it. The stats that I have for this are 78 crawlers, 21 crawlers, and then 21 knights. So this is certainly the one of all. I'm talking even up through episode 5. If you want to get crawler commendations, you want to hit this one over and over and over.
Dang.
Yep.
All right.
It's a good one for that.
Problem solved. You just rattled off, 99 crawlers. Right, because you said 78 and 21?
Yeah. Well, yeah. But, I mean,
dang it, that's one away from the 100 if you would normally get it in
the alpha
in your
crawlers
weekly.
Themselves are pretty easy to get through a lot of the other missions. It's the regular crawlers that aren't. For some reason, you would think they would have been more populous, but for some reason, the alpha crawlers, certainly when I was going through all these, I hit that one on the master commendation quickly. But the regular crawlers, I think it's just because you're required to get a lot more of them, for kills, that it's taken me a while. So this is one that, because it outnumbers the alpha crawlers nearly 4-1, this is the one to go back and replay it over and over and over again. And also, if you do this on co-op, now mind you, you're not going to get all 78 kills, but if you do this on co-op, you can rip through this level 5 minutes, 6 minutes, no problem. And
I'd say more 8 minutes.
Oh no, I guarantee you, I can play it in that length of time.
Really?
Yeah, I've checked my stats on this. In fact, if you look at the Infinity Challenge, and you look at Spartan Ops, there was a guy that was leading. I can't remember. I think it was like Abstract Mango or something like that was his name. And in fact, he had so many games at the beginning there that he kind of, I kind of felt disenfranchised by that and kind of quit worrying about winning the thing because he had so many games ahead of me. But I looked at his record to see how he was getting so many games in. And it was this specific mission, Gagarin, that he was playing. And it wasn't like he was cheating. The dude was playing them, and he was getting kills like mad. And I noticed that he was playing them in I think the shortest one I saw was 4 minutes, 50 seconds up to about 6 minutes, 20 seconds. So it's very easy to get this mission done over. Because from that, when I saw that, I took some of my friends in and played this mission just to see if we could do it. And without even trying to rush through the mission, we were still getting it done in the 5 to 6 minute range. So absolutely, this is a replayable mission for time if you want to rip the missions through quickly, as well as getting your crawler commendation boosted up.
All right, then. I think enough's been said on that one.
Yeah.
Okay. That wraps up episode 2, guys.
I just have one thing, if you don't mind me. I wanted to plug something.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's what the awkward pause was for, by the way.
On my site, HaloFanForLife.com, I just yesterday posted up that I'm holding a charity tournament. It'll be a 4v4 as well as a 2v2 tournament on February 16th and 17th. This is to benefit Autism Speaks. If you're not sure what autism is, I've got links on my site for what it is. But I would really encourage you folks to get involved. I've listed all the rules and the info and everything else, how much it costs to enter in and that kind of stuff. So please go check out the site. And if you do have any questions, you can either reply there if you're a subscriber, or feel free to email me at sal@halofanforlife.com. Right now, I don't have any prizes, so I'm using, unfortunately, some of the money that's being donated as your entry fee as the prize. Now, if I can get somebody to come forward and give prizes, then I'll give prizes instead, because personally, I would like to be able to give 100% of the proceeds to the charity. Right now, though, it's sitting at 75%, which is still good. Hopefully, we get a really good turnout. But anyways, again, it's the weekend of the 16th of February. I'm going to have a couple of custom maps, but I'll be using mostly, the regular maps. All the maps that will be used in the tournament will be in my file share on the 26th of this month. And that's pretty much it.
Sounds good. Well, thank you again, Halo Fan for Life, for coming on. We will be covering episode 3 here, not in the too distant future again. Thank you all for listening in to our Spartan Ops coverage. We will be doing the video accompaniment to this as well, and we'll clear up any of the random stuff that we brought up on this show and we weren't exactly sure about. So we'll clear some stuff in the video cast as well. And we will see you guys next time. Peace.
See ya.
Okay.